This is a copyrighted audiobook production of Music, Silence, and Noise, authored by Mohammed Saad Riaz. All rights reserved.
Music, Silence, and Noise. Section 1. The Crescendo, the popular kind. Feedback facade. When one who fantasizes is presented with reason, his fantasies increase. Rumi. The Crescendo students are smart, highly competitive, and successful at what they are doing, right? They have got a hang of the learning skills. Learning skills and metacognition is discussed in the next part, the decrescendo. Early in their lives, they are self-regulated and often prefer self-directed learning. So, what are teachers adding to it? Mostly it is feedback. The Crescendo students are hungry for positive feedback and are often impatient, with others and with themselves. A secret that these students can only uncover later in their lives is that their hidden anxieties associated with their task-driven, overloaded, and overachieving self actually get exhausted. And this high achievers syndrome sabotages their careers. A dilemma here is that everything is okay for the Crescendo students as long as there isn't any disruption. But when they face anything unexpected, they feel overwhelmed. Sometimes, a minor inconvenience can sweep them off their feet. Mere acceptance of the fact that they aren't good at something is difficult for them to take in. Always appraised, 16 years old, Sarah faced deep depression when she flunked in her professional qualification exam. She didn't know how to react and what to think. She started to feel her very presence an epitome of shame, because her two other sisters were qualified doctors. She'd put her best efforts, but of course she wasn't good enough. She wouldn't have to resort to antidepressants if she had an internal belief that failure is part of the process. The Crescendo, when confronted with unexpected events, can start to paint a dreadful picture of life if it is not what they wanted it to be. I am talking about every aspect of regular life, say, failing in a relationship. They would begin to crave positive feedback to get up and get going. This dilemma can cause ongoing, unnecessary guilt. School is a controlled environment, where students can have a clear definition of right and wrong. If I get good grades, it's right, but it's wrong if my grades are bad. The school's setting doesn't challenge them with dilemmas as such. So, the Crescendo starts to define their success in terms of how well they do, based on their teacher's feedback. Gradually, the external feedback criteria for success becomes a norm. Reliance on internalization starts to fade, and these confirmations start to become a pattern on its own. While beyond structured environment of a school is the wilderness of practical life. In school, they need to achieve, and their ambitions start to become an addiction. Their strength of conformity that helped them to achieve early on will turn out to be their weakness later in their life, unless they are internally strong. Somewhere, it is about a fear of stumbling and not being able to do something perfectly the first time. In the controlled environment of a school, we indulge so much about what to expect in the exam that life's exam becomes unknown. There's thus a tangible risk that the choices and decisions we make will not serve us well. I review the past exam papers of matriculation and get this feeling that all the students who ace these exams wouldn't be prepared to expect the unseen. For instance, the final board English exam of 10th class had a question, "Why did the prisoner support Pip?" There is no reference of anything more than that. The examiner expects the student to know chapter 11 of the book by heart. This question is a test of the power of your recollection rather than your English comprehension and communicative competence. Matriculation secondary school board examinations are set just like that. No wonder students score 1092 out of 1100. Since there aren't any surprises as such, Schools and academies have cracked the formula of passing these exams long ago. So, you can see that fear of the unknown and fear of losing control in real life can hold them back. I repeat myself that this is an education system's limitation, and not a teacher's or student's fault. The joy, or perhaps relief, of acing government board exam fails to provide confidence on an individual's skills and potential. But teachers in a school year can offer demanding interactions to develop the necessary capabilities. I have followed a lot of interviews with top scorers and distinction holders of secondary school board exams, a lot of them. And you all know that I am talking about 98% plus scorers. They are the best products of Pakistan's secondary school education system, well celebrated and accoladed. When asked in the TV interview about what they think is the reason for their success, along with hours of studies, most of them gave a heavy weightage to luck in their replies. I could pick that they're resisting to tell that I was good at learning by rote. I do not want to be critical to the kids, but they can hardly say anything impressive. Not a single student was able to display instantaneous communication skills. Comparatively, when I hear O-level students talking about their success, I listen to them saying things like responsibility, humanity, contribution, vigilance, and self-control. I am not asserting that one student is better than the other, but surely one system has developed precision in communication and skills to respond to ideas critically. Well, I am saying all of that as an example to help you understand the gaps. No matter which system a student is going with, they must be pushed to their potential. Teachers can focus on their potentials by going out of the scheme of the education system. Coming back to my point that the crescendo creates a confirmation bias that, if I behave well and follow the authoritative figure, I will get good results in life. The issue is that it only remains true in the structured environment of schools. It works like a charm and creates a dichotomy in school life and life ahead. Their career paths will surely be ambiguous, dynamic, and full of surprises. Practical life will demand them to think on their feet. But a conformist mindset looks to others for answers in ambiguous situations. Confirmation bias, as the writer of The Influential Mind, Tali Sharot, puts it, is our tendency to take in information that confirms our prior convictions and to disregard information that does not conform to what we already believe. Where it helps us to separate facts from fiction, it can also create a deceptive view of situations. Students develop a bias that conformity brings success, and when the opposite happens, it comes as a shock to them. Therefore, teachers need to offer diverse experiences and ways to challenge their students' thought process. Students should be placed in situations where they can realize blind spots in their imaginations. Simply allowing students to question things happening around them will enable them to appreciate different perspectives. Teach them to ask quality questions. Skills like flexibility and agility must be taught in the school. These skills have a greater demand in careers because when something isn't working, which is the case quite often, employees need to change things up on the fly to get things done. Improvising and quick thinking helps you get results much faster and makes your productivity rise tenfold. It also makes you a desirable asset in the corporate world. After all, companies are always on the lookout for a more productive workforce. The best feedback for your students is the one that motivates them intrinsically, develops an awareness of their learning in them, and eventually develops the ability to strategize for working on weak points themselves. Your feedback must enable your student introduce objectivity into their decision-making, such that they get the confidence of making big decisions in their lives more rationally.
If you appreciate the ideas presented in this audiobook, please share it with your friends and family. Also, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. This will help the author to monetize this production. Thank you for your token of appreciation.